Picture this. You glass a ridge at dusk, 500 yards. A bull elk emerges from shadow. Your rifle comes up. You need clarity. You need speed. You need zero hesitation. And right there, in that 3-second window, your scope decides whether you're walking off that mountain with meat or walking off empty-handed. Look, most hunters hand that decision to whatever scope the gun counter pushed at them, and it costs them. German engineers refuse that gamble. Year 2026 brought 7 rifle scopes from Stuttgart, Wetzlar, and Bayreuth that don't just sit on rifles. They become part of your hunting identity. We're breaking down the absolute peak of what German precision engineered into glass and steel. Number 1, it rewrites what you think precision even means. Listen, sometimes the smartest move is knowing when to ignore the hype. Karl Kaps has been making optics since 1946, and they never chased the tech-heavy arms race that obsesses most manufacturers. The classic line 2.5 to 10 by 50 is proof that German precision doesn't always need LED illumination, ballistic calculators, or integrated smartphone apps. This is a scope built for hunters who understand that simplicity, plus legendary German craftsmanship, equals a tool that outlives the rifle it sits on. The glass alone tells you everything. Kaps sources first-rate optical elements from German suppliers and wraps them in multi-coated layers that bounce light back into your eye with almost supernatural efficiency. The 50mm objective sucks in every photon available during those final minutes of legal shooting light at dusk. At 10 power, the exit pupil measures exactly 5 millimeters, mathematically perfect for human pupils dilating in low light. Your eye stays sharp, no strain. The color reproduction is neutral and clean, with contrast that lets you separate a deer's body from the chaos of tangled brush at 100 yards. Here is the deal breaker though, and this one stings for modern hunters. The 2.5 to 10 range maxes out at 10 power, period. If you're running a long-range setup and expecting to dial in shots past 400 yards with precision, this scope leaves you short. You're magnification limited where newer designs push 15 or 18 power in the same tube length. For alpine hunts or short to medium distance work, it shines. For extreme distance validation, you'll feel the limitation. Mechanically, Kaps built this thing like a tank. The main tube is solid aluminum alloy, machined as one piece and finished with hard anodizing that resists scratches like nothing else. Inside, the turrets operate with zero backlash. Every click finds exactly where you dialed it, with no mechanical slop. Elevation and windage adjustments deliver fine, tactile feedback. The scope is nitrogen purged and rated for submersion to 4 meters, so rain, snow, and abuse don't break it. At roughly 330 millimeters long and tipping the scales at less than 1.6 pounds, it balances beautifully on a traditional rifle. No unnecessary features. No weight you don't need, just mechanical honesty. The recoil signature when you send a round down range feels like a whisper translated through steel, not violent, just present and reliable. Ergonomically, this is the flexibility sweet spot for general big game hunting. At 2.5 power, you get a 12.4 meter field of view at 100 meters, letting you track a running animal through brush without losing sight. Dial it up to 10, and you have enough magnification for ethical shots out to 300 meters on stationary game. Kaps offers the classic, in both non-illuminated and illuminated versions. The illuminated model keeps things simple. No sensors, no batteries running dead at the worst moment. Just a basic red dot powered by a couple of coin cell batteries that last years because nothing drains them automatically. The non-illuminated version appeals to purists who never want to wonder if a battery died at the critical second. Minox lives under Blaser's umbrella, And that partnership paid off. The Allrounder 3 to 15 by 56 represents a quantum leap in how German engineers think about rapid target acquisition on moving game. This isn't about chasing extreme magnification or breaking physics with light transmission. It's about collapsing the gap between the moment you raise your rifle and the instant you're locked onto a clean sight picture. In thick timber or mountainous terrain, where seconds literally determine success, that philosophy matters more than any spec sheet. The optical pathway hits like someone flipped a light switch. Clarity arrives instantly, edge to edge, with no tunnel effect clouding your vision. Minox engineered this through their proprietary FTA, Fast Target Acquisition, geometry. They specifically tuned the lens formula to eliminate vignetting and expand the exit pupil beyond what conventional designs allow. That expanded eye box means your eye catches the full field of view, even if your head position shifts slightly off the stock. Inside a hunting context where you're mounting the rifle from unstable positions, this feels like cheating. The 56mm objective cranks light transmission to 94%, the brightest we've seen so far. Multi-star plus multi-coating drives every photon efficiency possible through the glass. Dusk clarity? It burns like embers at closing hour. Here's where it stumbles. And it's a sizing issue that won't matter for everyone but absolutely will for some. That 372mm length creeps longer than Schmidt and Bender Meta or Blaser B2 models. Mount a clip-on thermal device on the front bell, and suddenly you've got a lever arm that tugs the center of gravity forward. Your rifle starts working harder in your hands, especially on multi-day hunts, where you're hiking steep alpine terrain. The 760-gram weight compounds this. Hunters running compact rifle frames or shorter chassis, think truck gun setups, might feel this scope pushing the balance point too far north. It's not broken, just less perfect for certain mission profiles. Mechanically, Minox engineered the FRA system, fast reticle adjustment, with integrated zero stop that snaps back to your primary zero instantly after dialing long-range shots. The turrets click with absolute precision, no slop. 1 centimeter per 100 meters per click, cleanly marked, easy to manipulate even with thick gloves. Inside, the main tube is sealed with nitrous gas and rated IPX7 for waterproofing, shrugging off rain and spray without flinching. The glass fiber point reticle lives at the second focal plane, meaning the red dot stays the same size relative to your target, regardless of magnification. Perfect for precision shooting from 3 power out to 15. An integrated tilt sensor automatically kills the illumination when you lay the rifle down or set it at an angle, stretching those coin cell batteries for years. Nobody wants dead batteries at the critical moment, and Minox engineered patience into the system. Ergonomically, the design philosophy centers on getting you from gun up to trigger brake faster than competitors. At 3 power, you own a 12-meter field of view at 100 meters. Plenty for tracking wounded game or pursuing rapid follow-ups through forest. Crank it to 15, and you dial in precision for shots pushing 500 yards on open terrain. The low-profile turrets don't snag on anything, preserving smooth handling. The reticle brightness spectrum spans from daylight scorching intensity down to a whisper-thin glow for night operations. This is a scope designed for hunters who refuse to choose between speed and accuracy. It delivers both. Blaser built their reputation on straight-pull rifle actions that revolutionized bolt cycling speed. Now they've flipped that engineering philosophy toward optics, and the B2 2 to 12 by 50 IC does something competitors haven't fully cracked yet. It solves the thermal clip-on geometry problem without compromise. When you bolt a 500-gram thermal device onto your front bell, physics demands payback. Blaser refused that trade. Instead, they engineered backwards from the problem. The optical pathway prioritizes day-night versatility. 94% light transmission during daylight bleeds into 92% at night, achieved through Blaser's proprietary multi-coat formula that threads the needle between maximum photon passage and minimal internal reflection loss. The 50mm objective balances light gathering against overall scope footprint, large enough to dominate dusk hunts, compact enough that you're not mounting an optical lighthouse on your rifle. At 2 power, the field of view expands to 20 meters at 100 meters, letting you acquire moving game instantly. Dial it to 12, and precision solidifies without the weight penalty of 56mm designs. The glass renders color neutral and detail sharp from edge to edge, critical when you're reading wind flags or identifying game species at distance. The deal breaker lands hard here. Blaser engineered the B2 for Blaser rifles with their proprietary magnetic illumination coupling system, the IC designation. Push the charging handle forward, and electromagnetic current automatically triggers the reticle illumination. It's brilliant if you own a compatible Blaser. Mount this on a Sauer, a Remington, or any other platform, and you lose the magic integration. The reticle dims and brightens like any other scope, requiring manual adjustment. For hunters committed to the Blaser ecosystem, this is seamless automation. For everyone else, it's a feature you're paying for but can't access. Mechanically, Blaser cut this scope to only 330 millimeters in length, 4 centimeters shorter than competing designs. That deliberate compression shifts the weight center backward when you bolt a thermal device forward, preserving rifle balance. The main tube measures 30 millimeters and compresses 735 grams of mechanical precision into a frame that handles recoil from Magnum cartridges without flinching. Nitrogen purged to 4-meter submersion rating. The quick direct control plus fast turrets deliver 80-centimeter vertical adjustment at 100 meters with absolute repeatability. When you dial a number, that's where your zero sits. No mechanical slop, no surprises. The IC illumination control lands at the second focal plane, employing fiber optic technology that renders a brilliant red dot divorced from magnification scaling. Daylight intensity runs brighter than Zeiss Victory, penetrating into high sun conditions where less aggressive designs wash out. Nighttime glow descends to whisper soft levels for low-light stalks. Blaser engineered these scopes to mount directly to their proprietary quick-detach rings, creating a locked interface that survives recoil without stress transfer into the scope body. For hunters running thermal clips, the compact profile and electromagnetic integration make this the closest thing to a unified weapon system currently available. Steiner Optic built their reputation grinding contracts for military units. Think special operations teams that refuse optical failures, because failure means operators don't come home. That uncompromising pedigree lives inside the Ranger 6. A scope that trades marketing flash for mechanical brutality. The 3 to 18 by 56 channels, decades of combat-proven reliability, into a hunting platform that prioritizes durability over innovation for innovation's sake. The optical signature flows through Steiner's high-contrast ED system, leveraging extra low-dispersion glass that obliterates chromatic aberration at the edges. That rainbow fringing that dogs inferior scopes during high magnification hunts. The result is edge-to-edge sharpness even at 18 power, paired with contrast so pronounced that a hide-colored mule deer suddenly separates from tan grass like it's been outlined by neon. Light transmission exceeds 92% through lenses wrapped in Steiner's proprietary coatings. The 56mm objective cranks exit pupils from 10mm at 3 power down to 3.1 at 18 power. Early morning light pours in like someone opened a dam. Here's the catch, and it's significant. Steiner Ranger 6 models newer than 2024 began offshore production in the United States. This particular ranking focuses exclusively on the German-manufactured lineups, and Steiner's US-built variants don't qualify. If you acquire a used Ranger 6 from the German production era, you're golden. New in box current production, verify country of origin before purchase, because Steiner's cost optimization shifted some lines stateside. It's a sourcing trap that catches hunters expecting pure Stuttgart engineering. Mechanically, this scope builds from the ground up around military torture standards. The 30mm main tube machines from aerospace-grade aluminum and finishes under hard anodizing that shrugs off scratches like they're personal insults. The turrets underwent complete redesign for the Ranger 6. They click with tactile crispness, audible enough to confirm adjustment even through earmuffs, precise enough for 1 centimeter per 100 meter increments. The zero-stop system lets you spin elevation dials to infinity and beyond, then snap mechanically back to your primary zero without hunting through rotations. Internally, the erector system seats under spring tension with zero mechanical play. Recoil from a 309mm Magnum doesn't shift impact. Thermal shock from Arctic cold to desert heat doesn't shift zero. This is military-grade repeatability, translated into civilian hunting language. Ergonomically, the compact 338mm footprint supports mounting clip-on thermals without introducing nose-heavy balance. The fiber dot reticle at the first focal plane maintains consistent subtension across the magnification range, critical for ballistic compensation across distances. Illumination runs bright enough to use in daylight, dim enough for night operations without overdriving image intensifiers. Steiner's philosophy here reads simple: build something that survives everything hunting throws at it, then get out of the shooter's way. Leica Camera AG has owned the high-end optics game for longer than most manufacturers have existed. The Magnus 2.4 to 16 by 56i represents their thesis statement for modern hunting. You don't cut corners on glass, you don't compromise on contrast, and you engineer every micron of mechanical precision like it's going into a rifle that might encounter a once-in-a-lifetime animal. This scope is Leica refusing to play the same spec sheet game everyone else plays. The optical achievement here borders on supernatural. That massive 56mm objective sucks light like a black hole, routing photons through Leica's proprietary high-transmission glass formulation. Somewhere north of 92% transmission means dusk clarity that makes competitors look like they're shooting through dirty windows. Leica's color rendering deserves its own paragraph. They've engineered saturation and contrast that makes camouflaged game separate from background, with almost insulting clarity. A hide-colored elk against juniper scrub suddenly pops. Foliage texture becomes three-dimensional. This isn't just bright, it's accurate. The wide 17-meter field of view at 2.4 power lets you track movement in dense timber without requiring constant aim adjustment. The flaw arrives from an unexpected angle. The Magnus 30mm tube, while mechanically brilliant, sits slightly heavier than competing designs at 785 grams. Pair this with a 56mm objective, and the forward weight signature starts working against you during marathon glassing sessions or mountain hunts, where every ounce multiplies. Leica prioritized optical performance and structural integrity over featherlight handling. Some hunters embrace that trade. Others, particularly those running lightweight mountain rifles, notice it during the 10th hour of a steep ridge push. It's not a deal breaker. It's a geometry reality check. Mechanically, Leica machines the 30mm tube from monolithic aluminum, then nitrogen pressurizes it to withstand submersion and condensation nightmares. The BDC turrets provide ballistic drop compensation with repeatable click precision, spin dials for distant shots, return to zero mechanically without drift. The L4A or L ballistic reticles sit at the second focal plane, rendering as thin vertical crosshairs that don't mushroom at high magnification, perfect for small profile targets at range. The illumination system runs through integrated electronics that detect light levels and automatically dial brightness, prevent retinal burnout in daylight, enable nighttime operation without floodlighting your position. Internally, every bearing surfaces with precision ground steel components that survive the recoil signature of a 300 Magnum without mechanical fatigue. Ergonomically, Leica engineered integration with their Zeiss ZM and VM mounting rails, creating stress-free interfaces between scope and action. The turret control scheme runs intuitive. Elevation dials spin smoothly. Windage adjusts without resistance. The reticle brightness control operates silently, meaning no mechanical click-click-click audible to game during final adjustments. This scope rewards methodical hunters, the kind who glass for 20 minutes before committing to a stalk, who value optical clarity as much as ballistic precision. Zeiss pushed into a zone historically impossible, an 8-power magnification range, while maintaining 92% light transmission. Mathematically, adding extra erector lens elements into a tube that tight should crater optical efficiency. It doesn't. The Victory V8, 2.8 to 20 by 56, exists because Zeiss engineers refused conventional physics as an excuse. This is the scope for hunters chasing extreme distance performance without accepting the traditional penalty of dim, murky glass at dusk. The optical pathway reads like a masterclass in glass engineering. Zeiss leverages shot fluoride lens elements, the same type used in their microscope systems, to minimize color fringing and aberration across the entire magnification band. Those ultra-FL optics route light through precisely calculated paths that defeat the normal losses associated with complex erector systems. The 56mm objective cranks entry pupil to 11mm at low power, collapsing to 2.8 at 20 power magnification. The transmission stays locked at 92%, whether you're glassing at dawn or dialing into a 500-yard shot at last light. Lotus Tech hydrophobic coatings push water beads off the glass. Dust, fingerprints, moisture don't stick. T-Star multi-layer coatings, engineered specifically for sunrise and sunset wavelengths, guarantee that critical window of legal shooting light stays sharp and contrasty. Here's the catch, and it's significant. That 8-power zoom range demands complexity. The 30mm main tube runs 350 millimeters long and weighs 795 grams without rings. Heavier and bulkier than Schmidt and Bender Meta. Thermal clip-on devices, when mounted on the V8, create geometry that demands a heavier rifle platform to maintain balance. Lightweight mountain rifles suddenly feel muzzle-heavy. The advanced super-velocity long-range turret system clicks with precision, but the adjustment mechanism runs intricate enough that trapped dirt or grit sometimes stalls click response. German engineering doesn't mean immune to environmental stress. It means engineering that handles it better than competition, but still demands respect and maintenance. Mechanically, Zeiss subjected this scope to 1500 G shock testing, equivalent to the recoil impulse from a 460 Weatherby Magnum. It survived. Temperature cycling from -40 to +50 Celsius, saltwater spray for 24 hours, all absorbed without optical or mechanical degradation. The main tube pressurizes with nitrogen, sealing internal mechanisms against condensation and humidity. The advanced super-velocity turrets employ 100 clicks per revolution, delivering 1 centimeter adjustment per click at 100 meters. Zero-stop technology lets you dial to infinity, then mechanically snap back to primary zero. The fiber optic illuminated reticle produces perhaps the finest daylight visible dot in modern hunting scopes. Only 3.3 millimeters at 100 meters at maximum power. Your target doesn't disappear behind the aiming point. An integrated motion sensor kills illumination when the rifle lowers, extending battery life to years between replacements. Daylight intensity punches through high sun conditions. Nighttime glow whispers at levels that preserve dark adaptation during thermal operations. Look, here is the truth. Every scope on this list dominates within its design philosophy. Zeiss Victory V8 owns pure optical transmission and extreme magnification. Leica Magnus delivers color fidelity that borders on supernatural. Steiner Ranger 6 channels military heritage into hunting reliability. But Schmidt Bender Meta does something no competitor executes as cleanly. It synthesizes all three philosophies without sacrificing anything fundamental. This is why it takes the throne. The optical architecture reads like an engineer's confession. That 42mm objective seems modest, until you understand what Bender actually engineered into it. 92% light transmission matches Zeiss Victory V8 despite carrying a 6-power zoom range, not 8. They achieved this through selective use of fluoride elements strategically positioned within the erector system. Less glass, smarter glass. The 3 to 18 range delivers everything a modern hunter needs without the bulk tax. The eye box runs absurdly generous. You mount the rifle, your eye naturally finds center instantly, and the image stays sharp across the entire magnification band. For moving game in brush, this matters more than edge-to-edge clarity at maximum power. You're acquiring targets faster than competitors. The reticle appears crisp at both 3 power and 18 without distortion. The flaw lands here, and it requires honest acknowledgement. The 42mm objective means less light gathering than 56mm designs. At true last light hunting, the Leica Magnus and Zeiss Victory V8 pull in marginally more photons. If your entire hunting identity revolves around glassing deep into dusk, this scope costs you maybe 5 minutes of extra shooting light annually. For the overwhelming majority of ethical hunters working standard hours, this limitation proves theoretical rather than practical. Mechanically, Schmidt and Bender chose an architecture that separates them from everyone else. Instead of aluminum erectors like competitors, they machine internal components from steel, the same material they use in their legendary PME-SI military scopes. This means zero creep, zero mechanical flex under recoil. A Magnum round doesn't shake anything loose. The BDC ILI-B turrets integrate directly with Bender's proprietary LPI system, illumination and parallax in one, eliminating external housing that clutters the turret. The 30mm tube compresses to only 328mm, 4mm shorter than Blaser B2, allowing thermal clip-on devices to mount without inducing the lever arm effect that plagues longer designs. Weight runs light, around 680 grams, preserving rifle balance even with 500-gram thermals forward. The reticle system runs second focal plane, employing LP7 or SBX configurations. The LP7 includes intelligent distance estimation at 9 power. If an animal's body width fits within a specific hash mark, you know approximate distance. The illumination spans daylight intensity to whisper faint nighttime levels, with 11 distinct brightness settings. Zeroing mechanism operates with absolute mechanical precision. Click it, trust it, commit to the shot. No hesitation. Schmidt and Bender took the Zeiss V8's optical ambition, Leica's ergonomic refinement, and Steiner's mechanical gospel, then synthesized them into a scope that outthinks competitors at their own strengths. The Meta gives you Zeiss-level clarity without Zeiss weight. It delivers Leica precision without Leica bulk. It matches Steiner toughness while staying lighter and shorter. For modern hunters demanding a rifle scope that handles anything, mountain to flatland, daylight to thermal integration, moving gain to precision distance work. Nothing on this list does it better. German optics in 2026 solved the integration problem. Every scope ranked today addresses a specific hunter's mission without compromise. Karl Kaps proves mechanical honesty works. Minox and Blaser cracked thermal clip on integration. Steiner delivered military-grade reliability. Leica redefined color fidelity. Zeiss pushed extreme magnification without penalty. Schmidt and Bender Meta synthesized them all. Most hunters grab whatever sits on the counter because the salesman says it's adequate. Then they miss ethical shots because their glass couldn't separate game from background. The 7 scopes here demand you respect German engineering enough to invest appropriately. That investment protects your opportunity at game that appears once in a lifetime. You're not buying a scope. You're buying accuracy that holds under pressure. Watch your 6. I am out.